Chag Sameach, Gut Yom Tov, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Hodu Lashem Ki Tov, as we said a little while ago in Hallel, give thanks to God, for He is good. What's more Thanksgiving dick than that? I'm told that Thanksgiving in Canada is not so widely celebrated among the Jewish people, and yet here we are. Kiddush, Hallel, Musaf, all the trimmings. Okay, maybe no turkey at the Kiddush, as far as I know. But Thanksgiving is a pretty Jewish thing to do. Not necessarily the 3-day weekend, the holiday Monday, but rather the act of Thanksgiving. Since today is, by divine providence, Thanksgiving Day in Canada, let's take a closer look. Canadian Thanksgiving dates back to 1579, with Martin Frobisher's expeditions into what is now Nunavut. There were also Thanksgiving celebrations in Canada in or around the year 1604 or so. And over the next century and a half, refugees from the American colonies who stayed loyal to Britain came to America and brought the colonial traditions of turkey, pumpkin, and squash. I have no idea if Hallmark cards were invented by then, so I cannot speak with any expertise to the history of paper turkey centerpieces. All these events marked the people's appreciation to God for well-being, material success, and the bounty of the land. So really, at least thematically, very much related to the ideas of Sukkot, which the Torah itself calls Chag HaAsif, the festival of gathering in. Okay, now south of the border, as you know, Thanksgiving is a very big deal. It's on a Thursday rather than a Monday, which makes it officially a 4-day weekend, but really it's a 5-day weekend because the Wednesday, Erev Yom Tov, is one of the biggest travel days in the year in the U.S. Something like 60 million people every year travel 50 miles or more to be with family or friends. It's huge, and it's widely celebrated among Jews, like everyone else, because it's really a secular American holiday, where most everyone finds a way to fit in and feel included. So here's some more interesting data on that, according to the Jerusalem Post. You can take that for what it's worth. For decades, many have thought that the connection was obvious between Sukkos and the Puritans, who landed in what would become the Massachusetts colony in 1620, and according to legend, made the first Thanksgiving feast. Thanksgiving, harvest, thanks to God, and all that. There are a few problems with the story, though. First of all, the fact that the Puritan branch of the Church of England, just like the rest of Christianity, believed that the New Testament canceled the need for any of the mitzvahs that the Torah speaks about. So, one obvious gap is that the Puritan settlers, or pilgrims as popularly known, did not build Sukkot, as far as we know, and there seems to be no record of anything like Lulav and Esrog. Some amateur historians have argued that since these Church of England refugees left England in 1608 and stopped off for 12 years in the Netherlands, they were surely influenced by the large Sephardic community in Holland. That's a pretty intriguing hypothesis. The problem there is that most of the Jews in those days lived in Amsterdam, and the English refugees made their temporary home in Leiden, where Jews weren't to enter the recorded history for another 50 years or so. I'm still interested in researching this theory, which is a good one. In short, that Thanksgiving in Plymouth in 1620 had to do with Jewish practice, but not necessarily because of Sukkot. Rather, it had to do with, believe it or not, benching Gomel. Some of us in this shul bench Gomel, recite a special blessing of Thanksgiving when returning from travel overseas or recovering from dangerous illness or something similar. So it turns out that William Bradford, who would become the first governor of the Plymouth colony and the first signer of the Mayflower Compact, had with him a Bible on this voyage across the Atlantic on the Mayflower. However, not just any Bible, this one had annotations by a Christian scholar named Henry Ainsworth, who was something of a Hebraicist, they say, and allegedly would have been able to navigate the Rambam's major halachic work, Mishnah Torah. So here's the relevant connection. I haven't seen the original, but according to reports, Ainsworth writes an annotation on Tehillim Kuf Zayin, Psalm 107. Pasuk Lamed Beis, verse 32, there says, V'yiroma muhu b'kahal am, u'v'moishav zkenim yehalaluhu. Let them exalt God in the assembly of people and praise Him in the gathering of the elders. So Ainsworth connected this idea of public thanksgiving to what he had found in Rambam, in the Laws of Brachas, chapter 10. Halacha 8 there says, Arba'a tzarichin lahodos. There are 4 who are required to give thanks. Who are they? Chole shenisrape, an ill person who was healed. Chavu sheyatz mebeis hasurim, a captive who is freed from prison. Yordei hayam kshe'alu, those who cross the sea on an ocean voyage. And holchei dirachem ksheyagiu leyishuv, wayfarers who reach a settled land. The way Ainsworth explained it in his 16th century English, the Hebrews have this canon that these standeth before 10 men and blesseth the Lord, the King eternal, that bounteously rewardeth good things unto sinners. So the argument goes, and it sounds good to me on first reading, but I'll let you know if I find out more. That act of thanksgiving, as it relates to our North American traditions, really does have some solid roots in Judaism. Now, for us, never content to take things at a minimum, we do much more than say a bracha. We sit in a sukkah, we make a bracha, leishev b'sukkah. When we eat there, we take a lulav and esrog, actually 4 species altogether, and rejoice with them before God. How exactly? By waving them in all directions during Hallel. And the first days of this festival are indeed holidays, and we abstain from work, as on Shabbos, except for preparing food. So let's say it like this. We are delighted and overjoyed that the larger society dedicates a day, or even a long weekend, to thanksgiving to God for all the good we enjoy on a constant basis, perhaps even more at the harvest time, though few of us are farmers or even all too much aware of how the produce gets from the field to metro to our tables. Yet we show our appreciation every day with blessings of gratitude and praise and acknowledgement, and even with every meal or snack, when we make a bracha before we eat a croissant or drink a cup of coffee. And at appointed seasons, as the Torah commands us, we dwell in Sukkot, temporary dwellings that remind us of the impermanency and transience of all human life ultimately, and at the same time teaches us, guides us, models for us how to be thankful for every bit of goodness every day. Chag Sameach. Good Yom Tov.